Hello, everybody, and welcome to this Omni Labs exclusive interview covering the Torus network. We're going to be sitting down with one of the key figures of the Boots on the Ground network today, Gostak. Hello, how are you?
Hey, Kenso. Thanks for having me. I'm very good. How you doing, man?
I'm good, I'm very, very good. So, if we start off just by having you introduce yourself a little bit for people who don't know who you are and how you became involved in the project.
Excellent. So let me start with a little bit of personal background. For my whole working career, I've been in academic research. So
Mhm.
I'm a researcher by training. My background was originally in natural sciences. Then I did a PhD in plastic electronics. And for the past 4 to 5 years, I've been a full-time researcher at the University of Cambridge.
Okay.
Now, now coming to the um, to where I met Taurus essentially.
Hmm.
I started getting involved with the team behind Taurus, which is a team called Rend Labs for the people that don't know, that has contributed and built stuff on many other projects, including
Hmm.
Potensor and other projects. I started getting uh, like I started getting introduced to some of the key figures within Rend Labs from some common very good friends,
Hmm.
and we started having very long discussions about different crypto AI architectures and things that we were just mutually extremely interested at.
Hmm.
And when they were even before they started thinking of towards they were starting thinking of launching their own project to tackle a specific issue. And I was, guys, if I can help in any capacity, let me know. I'd be more than happy to. And
Yeah.
here we are now, like few months in the project, but like many months uh, uh, from the inception of the project,
Yeah.
like actually having being live. And
Okay. And
yeah.
so when it came to your particular involvement, when you were talking about it and you said if there's any way I can help, what specifically did you sort of lead off from that when it came to helping out in the ecosystem?
Yeah, so one of the ideas we had is that we wanted. So Torus is a very peculiar project because,
Mhm.
like, maybe can I start taking a step back and explaining maybe in very few words what Torus is?
Please do, yeah.
So Torus, at its core, is an agent coordination network,
Hmm.
which, I mean, it may sound like a mouthful, but what this network allows is for agents, arbitrarily specialized agents,
Hmm.
to work together with one another towards achieving complex goals,
Okay.
right? So, what that like we do those types of things all the time, right? Non-autonomous systems. We
Hmm.
organize. We tend to be, about the division of labor, and like we
Hmm.
tend to be arbitrarily specialized. One person tends to be an assembly line worker, someone else is an engineer, someone else is a salesman, and
Yeah.
then we work together with one another under those structures that we call, corporations, nations,
Hmm.
and other organizational structures
Yeah.
towards achieving very complex goals, right? And you can think of, maybe one of the most complex goals is building, for example, a rocket to go into space, right? And
Hmm.
know that even if you're extremely smart as an engineer or whatever other expertise you want to pick, there's no chance you can build a rocket and fly it into space on your own, right?
Hmm.
You need this coordination network to achieve goals that no smart human could achieve in isolation,
Okay,
right?
like
and
greater than the
and
sum of its parts type scenario.
Exactly, right. So
Hmm.
Torus is built on the premise that autonomous systems will follow the same trajectory, where
Hmm.
you would need division of labor within autonomous systems, and you would have you would require the coordination of different systems specialized in different domains to achieve goals that no single autonomous system can achieve in isolation. And
Hmm.
this is this is more practical. This gets you to a higher level of competence overall, but it's also a better world to live in, right? So
Yeah.
if power is not concentrated in one big company, but there's at least you have a multipolar world, right?
Hmm.
Where you have autonomous systems coordinating with one another, and it's not like one autonomous system that's omnipotent and
Yeah.
controls everything pretty
I
much.
mean, competition and collaboration generally tend to enhance whatever field they're introduced in, right? The idea of working against or with others and trying to innovate and improve upon what you already have almost always leads to, new innovations and, unique ideas.
Exactly. And in
Hmm.
Torus, we want to harness competition at every different level of specialization. So we try to build competition in terms of market forces.
Hmm.
So in every level of specialization. So for every function that now exists on Torus, we try to get multiple agents to compete with one another towards performing this single function. And what that should do, it should give you, when you want to perform a single task, it should
Hmm.
provide you with a path of least resistance. Because if say I am an agent within the network, and I don't use the latest and cheapest model to perform this work,
Yeah.
then someone else than you can come to the network, provide the cheaper, better solution, and just outcompete me. You will earn all the emissions, and I will be
Hmm.
competed out of the system. And that's this type of ejection and evolutionary pressures at every level is something we strive for at
Okay.
Torus.
It's almost Darwinian.
It is
It's like
exactly
almost
Darwinian.
survival of the fittest, and if somebody can come along and they can do it slightly better, there's no reason why the market shouldn't encourage that and then incentivize that.
That is exactly what we try to do
Hmm.
at every level of specialization. We try to have maximal competition, right?
Hmm.
And maybe uh, uh, because I gave the example of the company, maybe it's worth also taking a step back and making it more material, because make
Hmm.
building rockets and launching them to space is maybe a little bit too early for autonomous systems.
Hmm.
But many of us can think of autonomous systems, and we have seen autonomous systems that can trade, right?
Yeah.
So if we take a simplified example for the sake of this conversation, say you want to build a trading agent, and then you want to use only two types of data, just to make it as
Hmm.
simple as we can. So you want to use on-chain on-chain analysis, and also you want to use sentiment analysis from crypto Twitter, right?
Hmm.
So right now, to build this type of agent, you'd have to build the whole stack,
Yeah.
right? So you would have to build the data scraping function, and sentiment analysis function, and then you
Hmm.
would need to build uh, the on-chain data analysis function, and then feed those data into your decision-making trading algorithm, and then build
Yeah.
integrations
Hmm.
to do perform the actual trading, right?
Yeah.
But and to do that really well, you need a team or an individual that's good in every different function.
Hmm. Hmm.
And what's worse is if I want to go build another trading agent, then I have to go start from scratch.
Yeah.
And then I have to perform all the functions once again.
Hmm.
Now, how about instead of building all the functions, you can build whatever you're good at? Say you
Hmm.
have a really good sentiment analysis algorithm, right?
Hmm.
So you build this bit, or you have a really good proprietary trading algorithm, right? So you build this bit, and by using a network, and a coordination network, you can pay others that are really good in sentiment analysis or really good in on-chain data analysis in the
Hmm.
form of emissions, to give you the best type of data. And then if you want to build 100 different trading algorithms by a
Hmm.
hundred different people, then they only have to change the actual trading algorithm, and they don't need to repeat all the work that has already been done,
Hmm.
right?
Okay,
So
I see.
that's that is actually very close to what we work towards within Torus for the demonstration of our first swarm, which will
Okay.
be around DeFi. And we want to have, we try to build those types of systems for people. It's more like an MVP for people to understand how agents, autonomous systems, can coordinate with one another, and how
Hmm.
important a coordination network is.
That's fascinating. It's really interesting when you start to look at things by breaking them down into each of their like base processes and realizing that if you could have specialists who are focused on each of the individual aspects of the processes, the actual sum that you could end up with could be so much greater than the original one, because you're not having people sort of branch off into a vocation that they may be only 60% proficient in or something. Um,
Exactly.
Super interesting to think about how much higher the ceiling can get when you start working in that way. But then your
We
involvement
certainly
in the
hope so.
project became apparent with the more social and outreach side of things. Is that correct?
That is spot on. So I, my function within the project can, can morph into whatever is best for the project at every
Hmm.
given point in time. Now, starting off, because as we said, it's a coordination network. It's an
Hmm.
agent coordination network. It was really important to have, like, we thought it was really important to have a very tight knit community supported by in person communities in the very beginning, because we wanted for people to kind of know each other and trust each other so they can start building dependencies on each other, right? And we
Yeah.
start seeing, I mean, I'm not necessarily in those group chats, but we start seeing group chats of, some of our contributors in different universities. They start, kind of coordinating. I'm going to build this agent and you're going to build this agent. And that's the type of thing we want to do, because you, like, at the very fundamental level, you need to rely to others, especially in the early stages,
Yeah.
in order to build dependencies on them. You need to know that tomorrow, a week from now, a month from now, they will be there and they will be providing this service. And that's
Mhm.
more important in the early stages where rewards are lower, and like, it as the project matures, this should get less and less important, because you would have very, like, incentives would take care of that
And there'll
at
be like a
maturity.
greater access to these different systems because more different teams would have come on and tried to push that sort of competition with each other. And, the
Exactly.
greatest of those would have been more incentivized and would still exist on the system, whereas the others may have to innovate or try and adapt or evolve in different directions to keep themselves relevant.
That is spot on, right?
Hmm.
So if you have like
Okay.
20 teams competing for a single function, it's very different than having, one person competing for the function, which is the case in an early stage project, right? Or you
Yeah.
have three people competing for a function,
Hmm.
right? So that's why we really cared about building those tight knit communities, and we, by virtue um, of being in the UK and being in places that have very good access to talent. So I'm based in Cambridge, and
Hmm.
I'm very close to people at Imperial College and Oxford. Uh, we try to seed the communities in those places, right? And
Hmm.
it just made sense for us. It's so easy because we're just there and we know the people, and also those places have such high concentration of talent that would be dumb not to start from there.
Yeah, I mean, they're
Right. So,
very
and we,
top tier when it comes to at least the United Kingdom anyway, when it comes to sort of like machine learning or that kind of area of expertise, it's very, very well renowned, right?
yeah, yeah, and like, so it would make zero sense for us not to go there first.
And
And
so
we, uh, mhm.
is the idea with it to be chasing new talent to ensure they're sort of looking towards this kind of direction, or is it just finding, hidden gems, or what was the general idea beyond just like seeding communities? What was the
Yeah,
idea behind the boots on the ground program?
that's a very good question. So it has, it is constantly evolving. In the
Hmm.
beginning, it was just to inform people that Taurus exists. Like, let's not forget, it's a 2-month-old project, right? So
Hmm.
it's like it just launched, right? So people didn't know about the network, obviously, right?
Yeah.
So like in the beginning, it was getting people to know and getting people excited about the network and the possibilities the network has.
Hmm.
And initially we were focused, we had more of a spray and pray approach. Obviously,
Hmm.
we tried to engage as large communities as we could, and we did, broad events, some with hundreds of people, and I mean, we did get a lot of participation in one of those events in Oxford. We got
Hmm.
over 100 people to build on Torus. Some of them were just awesome. Like, just the level was incredible. I was even, like, I had high expectations, and I was even I was positively surprised. But now we're focusing. We try to narrow this down a little bit, and
Hmm.
we try to demonstrate, um, like, we have chosen some, very highly skilled individuals, and we're working with them, and we want to demonstrate, like, our first MVP, right? What I told you, we want to
Yeah.
build our first swarm,
So
So we
this is
have
what's coming
a
next. This is sort of like going to be the diagram of, or the microcosm of what Taurus is eventually supposed to grow into.
that is exactly what we're building towards. So we have recruited the people to build on the project, people that are very excited about the project, and also that are, extremely extremely capable in those capacities. So we
Mm-hmm.
now have agreed with a person from Oxford, specializing in autonomous systems coordination. It's as close as it goes. I don't wanna dox him or anything. And like he will lead our first swarm. And we also have a ton of contributors from Cambridge, Oxford, and Imperial that would be building individual functions, individual agents to compete within this first swarm. And like that's not from the mainstream development standpoint. There's other
Mm-hmm.
stuff coming there, right? And we can touch on them if you would like to.
Yeah.
But like that's more from the like that is more from a tangible standpoint where people can start understanding what's the value of the coordination network.
And
And
this is
you
all
can actually
stemming
have some.
from these events that the Boots on the Ground initiative has actually spearheaded, like ETH Oxford.
Yes, correct, right. So
Mm-hmm.
we did spearhead it, and we got some incredible support from the core Rand Labs team,
Mm-hmm.
right? So we had developers flying over to the UK to just provide support in real time until 4 a.m. To all the hackers that we're building.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, like I mean, we've been part of it, let's say, but like it's been a very collaborative process with Red Labs that have supported in an incredible way.
Yeah, I mean, from what we saw anyway, there was an immeasurable amount of excitement both at the event and surrounding the event. I'm pretty sure there was something that was posted that was showing people sitting on the floor just to be able to actually attend the seminars and the talks about the network and the hackathon
Yeah,
itself,
yeah,
which was
yeah,
crazy to see when you think about how many people were there. That there was so much demand for something that
yeah,
people may have thought at one point was quite niche, but potentially maybe agents are a lot more interesting
yeah.
than many people first thought.
I think so. I mean, I can give you some numbers there. So
Yeah,
the
absolutely.
total event had about 300 people, and we had over 100 submissions in Taurus, and
And
like
that's
they
100
were many
submissions.
projects. So that means like 30% of the event built
Hmm.
for Taurus, and
That's
like there
incredible.
were like over 10 projects. So we were overrepresented, like our share like was extremely high, right?
Yeah.
There was a very high number of people that wanted, got excited at least at first sight, and they wanted to explore our network more. And there's more
And
of those things coming, right?
and so across the submissions, was there a very good example of that sort of slight innovation or difference in the way that the teams approached the different categories? Because there were 4 categories, one wild card, and then
Correct.
3 others. Inside of those
Mhm.
categories for the first, second, and third place winners, was there like a large amount of innovation or difference between the actual projects that gave unique perspectives?
There definitely was.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, some like uh, that reflected, the difference in capacity of some teams. So we purposefully uh, created challenges with varying degrees of complexity, and we
Mm-hmm.
incentivized them with different ways because we wanted the network to be accessible to everybody. So we created the wildcard challenge, which was the least incentivized. And then we created, like, say, the most incentivized was like a distributed brain system,
Mm-hmm.
which is like a decentralized brain, excuse me, which is a distributed database in practice, which is actually pretty hard challenge to solve technically, right? So in between we had a crypto Twitter debate analyzer and
Mm-hmm.
a Discord bot analyzer. So all those things are going to be registered as agents within the network, and they're
Mm-hmm.
valuable. But the other value they had for us is to kind of it, is to provide us with a screening process for different people that can potentially build on the network. And then
Mm-hmm.
we have the information to say, hey, how about you go build, those types of things. And then we know what the capacity of each team is
Yeah.
a priori, which is very valuable for us.
Hmm. Okay, and so other than this MVP that you're working on, and or the MVP that Ren Labs is working on, and the
Correct.
ETH Oxford event, is there more that's coming from the Boots on the Ground initiative, or is there more coming from Ren Labs itself that you can sort of give a little bit of a sneak peek towards?
Uh, I mean, from Red Labs itself, it's going to be like a ton of like core, like a ton of stuff regarding the core blockchain architecture. You'll
Hmm.
have recursive delegation fairly soon, which will, will start demonstrating the capacities of the network. That
Yeah.
you'll have V1 live. I think that will take a little bit more time in terms of development.
Hmm.
But in terms of our initiatives with different universities and stuff, like the next thing that would be a fairly big incubator type of thing
Hmm.
is is an incubator that we will do in collaboration with Imperial College London.
Hmm.
So it's going to be one of the largest um, AI agent programs, and maybe it's worth for you guys to post a link for anyone that would be interested. That will
Absolutely.
kick off on the 15th of April, or the 15th of March, excuse me. So in 1 week's time from the recording, and then this will run for a full month, right?
Hmm.
And during this, Taurus would have its own track in this program, meaning there's going to be a lot of developers, like space is going to be provided, and like they're going to be building together
Yeah.
uh, towards agent on different projects, and we will have our own
Hmm.
dedicated track. So, and like we will be there. There's going to be a launch event on the 15th of March, and then we will have constant follow-ups with the teams, and it will be largely managed by people at the Imperial Blockchain and AI societies.
Hmm.
So that's the next thing that we're looking towards doing, and like I think like we're very excited about it. Like I think Imperial is an incredible place. Even at
Hmm.
ETH Oxford, we had uh, like a ton of contributors and a ton of winners from Imperial. So like
Yeah.
we're really excited to go back and and like get more on board more people from there.
And so this is going to be part of a larger event with a few other AI development projects itself. And
That
Taurus
is
is effectively going to be like a category within that set of um, options for people to develop for.
correct. That's exactly right. So there's going to be, I mean, pretty much most agent projects you would have heard of would be there. Like many of them are
Hmm.
sponsoring. We're actually not sponsoring even. We're just invited, like by the people that were running the event, and we'll have our own dedicated track, and we will have builders like build on the network towards some very like we like not everything is announced yet, but
Hmm.
that's pretty much the short version of it. But yeah, like anyone that's interested in building agents, like there's gonna be like again we'll put the link for the 15th of March at Imperial College.
Yeah, no, definitely. And so for anybody else who wants to get involved but maybe isn't in the UK or isn't able to attend an event like that, what would you recommend for them, either as a builder or a supporter or contributor, whatever they might be?
So now like anyone that spends the time to understand the network,
Hmm.
like they can submit an application. It's extremely cheap to do so. Like what I would recommend actually is contact one of us, maybe me or anyone else from the core team,
Hmm.
and then just have a very short discussion, right, about what you would like just a brainstorming discussion about what you want to build.
Yeah.
And then like every builder can submit an application which costs almost nothing now. It's extremely
Hmm.
cheap, and it costs 100 dollars. uh, and then you can like if you get approved by the DAO, which if it is something useful to the network, it should get approved in
And
principle.
this will be part
Then
of the
you
reason that you're recommending the brainstorming session, is just to make sure that you can give some pre-insight so that people are on the right track and they're not going to start developing and investing time into something that maybe the network either doesn't want or isn't ready for.
Exactly, right?
Hmm.
Because if it's something that in the end, you like as a contributor, you compete for stake. So if the network is not willing to stake you, you're wasting your time. So
Mm.
you need, in some sense, you need to know, like, in order to get incentivized, you need to know that there's people with Torus stake willing to support you,
Yeah.
willing to allocate their stake onto your project, right? And that's
Mm.
what you need. So that's the whole. Um, that's why we recommend people having a brief chat, right? We
Yeah.
generally want things to be as grassroots as possible. Like we don't want to like we want to direct things as little as possible. Although in the early stages of a project, you have to you have to be fairly hands on. But we try to you know to let community initiatives more and more, and then our roles should diminish.
Hmm.
As the
And so,
network becomes more
no, sorry, go on.
no, as the network becomes more decentralized and more
Hmm.
participants come in, then the influence of the initial core people should diminish, and that's a healthy thing, and we want it. Like, and I can tell you for a fact that the Red Labs team wants exactly that, right?
Yeah.
So they want, like, they know that their influence over the project will go down with time, and they want that. They strive
Hmm.
for that,
Yeah.
right?
And the best way for people to sort of get in touch with you or anybody else from the core team is via Discord.
Yes, right. So like I like again put my handle please on the description of the video, and
Hmm.
anyone can just reach out to me. I'm very happy to arrange a short call and like connect you with the right people maybe on the team to discuss depending on what you're interested in building.
Perfect. Sounds great. And so the next things, sort of just to recap for people, the primary next things that are coming up are going to be the MVP of this DeFi agentic network that's going to be developed. And then for the Boots on the Ground initiative, it's going to be this event at Imperial on the 15th of March that's going to be a month-long sort of like development hackathon style event.
That is spot on, and there is more to come. But as you can imagine,
We'll drip feed them
let's
that.
take it one step. Exactly right. Let's take it one step at a time, and like
Yeah. Yeah,
because
no,
things are
definitely.
not set for 2 months time. We just
Yeah.
have
I
ideas
mean,
for now.
we absolutely look forward to covering the new developments as they come up. I think the MVP is going to be very crucial when it comes to giving people an understanding of what the network's going to be capable of. And hopefully, now that you've already ran a few of these events, this most recent one that's going to be coming up is going to have a lot more awareness, and people are going to go into it with more of an idea of what they can do with the system and hopefully expand from there. So, if the quality of the submissions we've already had have been this good, I can't wait to see what the next ones are going to be like.
I'm looking forward to this as well, and I think you're spot on. I think it's very important for people to see actual utility. So yeah,
Yeah,
I'm super excited for what's ahead.
yeah, we can't wait. But I think that's closing. That's everything that we wanted to ask. Thank you so much for coming on. And we'll make sure that we
So
keep up with your endeavors as they come up over the next few months and ensure that people have a direct line and finding out what's going on under the hood on your end.
excellent. Thanks so much for having me. Always excited to chat. So hit me up at any point in time, and we can have a chat again.
We definitely will. When it comes to this event, we're absolutely going to want to pick your brain as to what's been going on behind the scenes. So thank you so much for coming on and have a lovely day.
Excellent. You too. Thanks a lot. Bye.
Cheers. Bye, guys.
Omni Labs provide tutorials, podcasts, and AI crypto news for free. Please help us to keep helping you by weighting your stake to our agent. Thanks. See you next time.